Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to Scientology Life After Occult. I'm Natalie, and I share my 35 years of being in Scientology, growing up in Scientology, being this in the Sea organization, but leaving with 3 generations of my family. And we have so much to talk about. So much to talk about. Oh, I'm dying. My hands are sweating. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Would love it if you hit the subscribe button. And as we go along and you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button too. Hello to everybody in the chat. Great to see you. If you're catching this on the replay, make sure you participate. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think, what your comments are on it. What do you make of all of this? Because yes, Alicia, just when you think it can't get any crazier, it does in the world of Scientology. And what many of us are doing is, depending on what time zone you're in, we are staying up into the wee hours watching primarily Scientology Audit Streets LA and Jessica Palmadessa. And they're doing an amazing job. Many other people who are live streaming and on TikTok and on YouTube are there as well at the Hollywood Testing Center, busting Scientology, showing people what's happening, encouraging people not to join in the first place, talking about it, educating people about what Scientology is really about. And I'm just so here for all of it. It's just absolutely amazing. I think they're doing a great job. And in fact, my Tony and I make kind of a date night out of it now. We pretty much spend our evenings with it up on the big screen, yelling at the television, mind your business. It's a cult. Just we're just right there for it. Now, little bit of we're going to get to kind of what I think the really big news is, but I wanted to kind of bring something up, and that's that David Miscavige in Scientology, what keeps members largely in place is their propaganda, their version of events, how they share and present these things to Scientology. And as we know, we talked about the other day an email that was leaked that shows that Scientology believes, and they believe this because L. Ron Hubbard said they should believe it, that when people, they call them squirrels, like the people outside of the Hollywood Testing Center, they call squirrels, they, I mean, for a second, can we just digress? How ridiculous is that? Because squirrels are cute. There's just not this today. There's not this negative association about squirrels. Someone had mentioned that back in the day, there was an explanation that kind of made sense why L. Ron Hubbard might be using that word to describe people who either practice Scientology outside of the sanctions of Scientology competition, or people who alter Scientology in some way are called squirrels. But it is all part of their propaganda to frame in the minds of Scientologists who the people are who are out there, who these activists are. They need to change the narrative. And in changing the narrative, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. David Miscavige will use this to rally the troops in Scientology to donate money to help the cause because the squirrels are screaming. And why? Because they believe that that means Scientology is doing so well. Scientology is expanding, and that's why this attention is being brought to Scientology. It makes no sense at all, but I'm telling you, it's what they believe. And keep that in mind as we go through this and we talk about the events of last night. I don't know if you noticed too, I try to watch a few of the different live streams. I think it's really interesting that now like everyday people are stopping and watching it play out as if it's some kind of live show, which it is. And there are people who are taking pictures and selfies in front of the buildings with a sign. And the Scientology twist on this is they're going to tell members that that Scientology is so popular right now. It is for all the wrong reasons, or maybe even for the right reasons. Tourists are stopping on Hollywood Boulevard to take pictures. Families, I've seen whole families out there with kids watching this play out, watching it all unfold, listening to what people have to say. Well, last night things started off a little It started off a little slow. He kind of thought like, all right, maybe it's going to be a quiet night. This was like the third night in a row, I believe, that there wasn't any recruiting going outside of the Hollywood testing center. That's something that Jessica Palmadessa talks a lot about on her YouTube channel and on her TikTok, which, by the way, this young lady has over 1 million followers on TikTok, and they're all here for this drama. And I love how she paints a picture of what's happening, even though she's showing the video. And people are sharing other images and videos. There was a video shared where who was it? Is it Shannon that works at the front desk? And there was that kind of a head that was bobbing up and down, and people were wondering, well, what's that? Who's that person? What is that head? What are they doing? And I think they're installing some type of either additional surveillance equipment or more cameras, something security oriented under that desk, because the reception desk at the Hollywood Testing Center is that kind of big thing. And this person was under there. And I got a feeling that that is probably what's happening. Maybe they're installing a hotline that goes right to the dictator, David Miscavige, so that he can dictate the craziness in real time, which is totally something that he would do through his people, because he's always trying to create a buffer between him, his dictates, and who actually does the dirty work. All right. So so the other thing last night, I wanted to talk a little bit about the security guard too. The guy who stands by the door I'm pretty positive, and I think it's been mentioned too, that he works for an outside security company, which you can tell because that guy, you look at him and you just want to say, blink twice if you need help, and he would be like completely doing it and blinking. He asked for Jessica Palmadessa's phone number, and I she got his number instead. This is if he was a full-blown Scientologist there on duty. One, he would have the Scientology scary eyes because he would be trying to keep his TRs in, his training routines that they're trained in doing to face and confront and shatter suppression, which just never works out. So I think it's interesting that the way, and off camera too, apparently he's saying that he doesn't want to be there. And it is pretty obvious. And William in his video talks about like, hey, anybody needs security, let's find this guy another job. And the guy doesn't stop him. So I think he'd like another gig as well. I would not be surprised if we don't see that security guard in the near future, just because you know, Scientology is watching all of these live streams and videos. They have their own cameras outside there to watch everything play out as well. Um, so, if I'm them, right? It's like you're there being hired as a security guard, but pretty much letting people know that you ain't playing with this, which I think is fantastic. I hope that he stays, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Now, last night, there was a street performer who was there the other night who showed up with his speaker and his microphone, and he was doing his thing and performing a couple songs in front of the crowd because there's always a crowd there. And it was a little interesting because he kept going. I think he did a couple songs, but here's the problem. He crossed the threshold. He walked into the building. William and others have been saying for weeks now, don't go in the building like that. Give them their space. There's a certain line up to which you can be. Don't touch a Scientologist or get close to it because they try to provoke violence. All these good practices, keep the sidewalk open, things like that. So this street performer goes in, he's doing his thing, he's singing, and the cops get called. And you think, all right, well, of course they call the police because somebody went in there. And this street performer was not part of the protest, though he was there. And William Good called him out on, just doing it for clout and not really being there for the protest. So he goes inside, he's singing. The police get called. Before the police get there, he leaves. So this guy's out of there. He is not there to deal with any of these consequences. So William Good, Scientology Audit, Streets LA, Jessica Palmadessa, all the others are going around trying to figure out what's going on. And somebody looks inside the police car where they have their little iPad dually dads, and you can see the call as the call comes in and what it says. And what does it say? it says that there was a bomb threat. Scientology called in a fake bomb threat to get the police there. And they arrived with, I mean, sirens. I think William said it's a code 3 where you're arriving with sirens, lights, and a supervisor backup. So it was so blown out of proportion by Scientology, but this is what they do. Because remember, they also need to paint themselves as the victim. That is how they try to. There's all of this horrible public relations fiasco going on because this is all over the internet and it's just continuing to grow. It's going to grow more and more. People love watching this and they're learning at the same time about what Scientology is really about, the history of abuses. How Scientology chooses to respond, part of their handling in the community, again, is to paint themselves as the victim, that they are being persecuted for their religious beliefs, which we all know that is not what this is about. Believe what you want to believe. Believe the whole Xenu thing and body thetans. Fine. It is the harassment. It is the stalking. It is the physical abuse. It is the covered up sexual abuse. I mean, just on and on and on. That is the issue, those things. And instead, they want to shift attention to, no, we're being persecuted for our religious beliefs. And it is not about that. This is why they overplay these situations. And this is serious. Calling in a fake bomb threat, doing that, tying up resources like that, that is serious. And I hope that, well, I know they're going to be confronted on it because William's there. But I hope that they really do get called out on that because that's truly, truly, truly dangerous. It really is. Chemist, thank you so much. Love you guys too. I'm glad you like the morning recaps. It works really well for me. And yes, let's go. So the police come. They go inside. There were, I think, 4 officers and a sergeant. They're looking around. People are outside the Hollywood Testing Center looking inside, seeing what's going on. And then you see this dog. It looks like they have a bomb sniffing dog in there. So the police have to take these reports seriously. And I will say this though, it didn't seem to me, you tell me what you think in the chat. And if you're catching the replay, tell me what you think in the comments. It didn't seem like the police were there that long considering. So did they figure out pretty quick that this was a Scientology tactic? And with this coming out, with this becoming more known, because this is going to spread like wildfire that they did this, you got to kind of ask yourself, what the thing a lot of people ask is why? Why would they do that? Because it's so obviously going to get them in trouble. Because this is what they do. They have to follow what L. Ron Hubbard says to do when squirrels are screaming, when they're bringing attention to the abuses of Scientology. And those are the tactics that they have to follow. Scientology has one playbook and one rule book, and it was written by L. Ron Hubbard in the 50s, in the 60s. And this is what they operate off of, regardless of the fact that there's the internet now, which is just a game changer. Information can get out so quickly, but also people are seeing it themselves. They're seeing it and hearing it themselves through these live streams. So there's no like, oh, it didn't go down that way. And I linked to William's video in the description and his YouTube channel and Jessica Palmadessa's as well. And if you're on TikTok, she is too. And Scientology Audit Streets LA is on TikTok as well. I primarily have been watching him on YouTube, but I'll switch over and follow Jessica on TikTok as well. And it was so crazy because it started off kind of quiet, right? And then things just escalated fast. I was watching on the big television and then I had TikTok on my phone, seeing it from these different angles. Power Lies to Paralyze says psychoanalysts were referred to as squirrels because the mentally ill were referred to as nuts. Oh, okay. I haven't heard that explanation, but that makes sense too. I can see that. I can absolutely see that. Change Up says Scientology hasn't figured out that their best defense is to be boring. Instead, they create drama that brings more attention and cameras. Exactly. When we've not been seeing recruiting going on at the Hollywood Testing Center, which makes you wonder, okay, are they doing it somewhere else? Are they handing out their flyers and their way to happiness booklets? Are they just doing it somewhere else? They very well could be, but I feel too that when people see that, they're going to be, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be reporting it to the live streamers that, hey, they're over here doing this. So I'm not totally sure if that is what they're doing, but it is a good question of where are they? Where are these missing staff members that were there, like Angel and Sebastian, and really haven't been seen? What you just got to wonder, what are they up to? And is there a plan? Now, I know what L. Ron Hubbard dictates and what he would likely say to do. And also, you can look at past history on how David Miscavige, the dictator of Scientology, has handled these things, basically how they're doing it. And that was such a good point that the best thing they could do is just to be boring, because then there'd be nothing to show, nothing to share. But we know that's not who they are. That's not who they are. L. Ron Hubbard says to always attack, never defend. So it's not about defending themselves. They also believe another thing in Scientology that they're taught in the C organization and as staff members is these things being said about Scientology, the abuses, all these things. They call them enemy lines, lines that the enemy uses. And what they're trained to do is never repeat the enemy line. In other words, a trained Scientologist or C organization member who's been properly indoctrinated will not be spouting back or trying to defend these statements that are being said to them, because L. Ron Hubbard said, don't defend, never defend, always attack. And the ways that Scientology is going about their attacks with nose blowing on people, spitting on people, making false police reports, calling in a fake bomb threat at this point. These are their tactics. This is what they're doing, which is why it's so important when Streets LA talks about don't give them any reason to weaponize the police, because that is what they'll do. That is what they want to do. It's all they can do, because you can't defend what they have done. And I think even David Miscavige, the dictator of Scientology, knows this. L. Ron Hubbard said it. You can't defend what they've done for all these decades. So all they have left is to act a fool and do these things. Now, one little thought I had, not little thought, but I had a thought last night when I was watching Jessica Palmadessa's live stream. And do you notice, and she called it out, how often the receptionist uses hand sanitizer? Each time someone's in there, she's not shaking anyone's hand, she's not touching them, but she's using hand sanitizer almost every time. So is that a protocol? Is that something that they are needing to do? It made me question, is that where the other staff members are? Did they get sick? Is Scientology trying to weaponize illness and spit on William and have somebody blow their nose on him to to get them sick? I don't know. I'm just saying that because I do know their mindset, that it wouldn't be off the table. I'm not saying that that is what is happening. I just think it wouldn't be off the table. You tell me what you think. All my ex-Scientologists out there in the live or in the comments. Tell me what you think about that. Because, like when the people came out with the cameras, they had their masks on, their masks. And I don't think it's just about hiding their identity. I think it's about that they think that people who are protesting or activists, people raising awareness, the squirrels, they think the squirrels are dirty and have disease, and they're protecting themselves against that. It's just the way that they would think. And that's why I think that we're going to see some of these same actions play out, but more and more. At what point does the LAPD not become accountable for going along with a lot of this and not treating people fairly when the shoe is on the other foot? right? Because so far, if you've been watching this, who's been arrested? One person who identified himself as a Scientologist and someone else who was seen leaving the Scientology building. So we'll call him Mr. Scientology operative. Those two, not other people. And it's yet they continue to do it. They continue to do it. It you can't make sense out of what does not make sense. But what they're doing now is taking it to a level that is truly dangerous, and they need to be held accountable for it. And there needs to be whatever the consequences are for calling in a fake threat like that and doing what they did, that needs to be taken up. That is it's crazy. The cop cars pulling up, the sirens going. There was a helicopter overhead at some point. Now, whether that was related to that or not, the squirrels being outside there, I don't know because it is Los Angeles and Hollywood and there are helicopters, but could have been. It's just, you put that all together and it really paints a picture of how desperate they are. And there's likely not a grand plan because dictator David Miscavige runs the show and he's very reactionary. He cannot control his emotions. We know this. This is why he physically beats his staff. He physically tortures people. He has had them locked in double wide trailers for days and weeks on end. This is what he does. So he's someone who, and I talked about this on a live stream yesterday, we talked about emotional intelligence. He lacks emotional intelligence. There's no regulating his emotions. He is just, "Rah." And you see that because that rolls downhill then in Scientology. People start to perpetuate that same type of abusive behavior. The physical abuse, and then with the screaming and the yelling and just being a massive bully. He's just a big bully. So it makes sense that Scientology would just come out with these bullying tactics and be completely out of touch about it. So out of touch with the world today because they don't encourage Scientologists to go get on social media for obvious reasons. They don't encourage Scientologists to get out and learn more things about the world because you want to keep those blinders on. You don't want to get too interested in hobbies and travel and other things or other organizations or philosophies or religions because that takes away from Scientology and they're dwindling. They have they have so much money though, guys. All of the real estate that they bought on the backs of Scientologists, it is it's insane. Popsicle people, William is killing two birds with one stone, police and the Church of Scientology. Yeah. Yes, it's a very interesting time to be watching Scientology and also have this accountability with the LAPD where there's been a long history of Scientology having an undue influence. There's been so many examples of that and so many situations where that is shown to be true. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you're liking it. Thank you for the reminder. And thanks, Nancy, in the chat. She is modding away. I love this. Yes, intimidation methods. Um, let's talk about Mindy for a minute because I'm seeing a lot of comments on that. What Mindy is doing is not normal. It's way over the top. I can smell a rat. So Mindy, also called, I think, Purple Jacket Lady because she was wearing a purple jacket. She's been out there a couple times and has talked to William. She's been really friendly. Carla, LOL, Mindy looks harmless. She just looks like she needs something to do. Yeah, and I've gotten this question too. What do I think about it? What do I think about her? I could only take it at face value. She's friendly. She brought earplugs. She made signs. She's trying to be helpful. She seems to genuinely care. Face value, that's what it is. What's unfortunate, now, whether that's the reality in truth or not, who knows? But that is you can't get too paranoid with all of this stuff. Is she a plant? Is she not a plant? Who knows? Fact of the matter is she seems charming as all get out and pleasant. So if she is a plant, at least she's friendly. Compare that to the guy who blew his nose on William and the guy who spit on him or the people who are out there with the cameras. Um, I think she's fine. Who knows? But here's the unfortunate thing. This is a great example of how Scientology fosters an environment where people mistrust each other and people have paranoia. because they create that. They keep people in a state of fight or flight, a state of high anxiety. And when you're around that, even if you're on opposing sides, right? That energy just it communicates. You feel it, it comes out. That's the kind of environment that they create. That is the environment within Scientology. Who's a rat? Who's a plant? Who might write me up and report me to Scientology because I've talked about leaving? That's completely where that culture is. And I would hate to see be alert, but just keep your nose clean. If you keep your nose clean when you're out there, you're keeping the sidewalks open, right? You're not doing things, you're not breaking the law yourself. There's nothing to hide. It doesn't matter then if someone's a plant. You want to be aware of anyone who's trying to cause trouble, who's trying to, gaslight people, to create a reaction, to evoke some type of response, ideally one with violence. It could be Mindy just likes William too. I mean, this could be the start of something. I don't know. I don't know what his status is relationship wise, but I mean, she does kind of seem to be into him, which is cute. But my point is, I guess, regardless, you can only take people at face value and try not to get too sucked into this, OSA, Office of Special Affairs. This person's a plant and worried about it. I think it's really fun to make jokes about it and it's funny. And you do need to be aware, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Treat everybody with kindness. Why they're there, who knows? It's very eye-opening. And I'm going to say this as someone who was a Scientologist for 35 years. When people would question me about Scientology in a way with genuine curiosity, even though what they were asking about was, you could tell that there's something negative that they heard about it, their opinion had more of an impact on me, if that makes sense. Because they were actually asking questions. It wasn't this attack vibe. And I'm not saying don't do the attack vibe, because sometimes it's like that when Scientology is coming at you, it's a fire with fire kind of thing. You're meeting them where they are. I'm just saying don't stay there. Meet them where they are at times, but don't stay there. And William does such an incredible job of this. He, last night in the video, which again is linked in the description here of my video, he gets really upset, which he should have, because what Scientology did with calling in that false report was ridiculous and dangerous and a waste of time and resources. And he called him out on it. And I mean, that's infuriating. He's worked really hard. A lot of people have. And it's pretty obvious what side that the public in general is on. And you want to continue that. You want to be on that side of things. And that's why Scientology does the things that they do with trying to paint these squirrels in such a bad light. Meanwhile, I'm over here making all kinds of squirrel merch for my store because I think it's fantastic. Gene, the street performer, was there with his big bucket looking for money. Yes, he just goes where the crowd is because he is a busker. He was never aware of not crossing the threshold. Yeah, I think so. That could very well be true. And it sounded like afterwards, William let him know and said, "Hey, you can't be doing that." And that did seem to be what he was doing. It's just unfortunate. Change up. I agree when things are quiet, ask questions of Scientologists. The point is not the answer, but plants the seeds that they may think about later. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what happened to me when I was having doubts about Scientology. Those doubts grew through people who would genuinely ask me questions in a way that I could see they really wanted to know. It's different. So have the conversation. I think it'll be interesting to see what they say. There's a guy, and excuse me for completely forgetting. I think it's if somebody could put it in the chat or the comments. Oh my gosh, the guy the young man who heads out to the blue buildings, who has been interviewing Scientologists and talking to them. He does a great job of that. He just asks them in a way that's like they're some of them respond because they're taken so off guard. They don't realize that he's a squirrel and respond and will answer the question. And Chris, that's right. So this is his channel, Chris with a Hellcat. he's doing an interesting job of doing that, and of the channels I've watched, I've seen him probably talk to more actual Scientologists who no doubt get in trouble after that because they will. Because Scientology doesn't want their members speaking to people, definitely not talking to these squirrels, which is why they label them as squirrels. It's why they label people like me who left Scientology, who made the choice to leave with 3 generations of my family. I broke up with them, but then they go and they excommunicate you and they label you as a suppressive person. That's all done so that Scientologists don't speak to you. It creates this fear. They automatically put the blinders on. They know that, oh, you're a squirrel, you're a suppressive person. Somebody was asking if, see, and again, you can tell I haven't finished my first cup of coffee. Chris with Chris without, Chris without a Hellcat. If he's either on TikTok or he's on YouTube. I think he's on YouTube. Thank you, Anna, without a Hellcat. You got to put it, I'm in my 50s and these reading glasses aren't that strong. So thank you. I love it too when you guys have a question and put the word question in front of it. That helps me as well. Yeah, this is a good point too, Gene. I'm glad Singer apologized because he was warned first time to leave and he went back inside. That's just asking for trouble. And yes, chemists, all are not welcome, more like it. They have that sign out front that says all are welcome, which is just rich. It just is. It just is. Anna, you like your readers too? These aren't even my regular glasses. My regular glasses I really like, but I can't read the chat without it. But eventually I'm going to get some kind of more of a multi-screen, use a bigger screen that I have so I can blow things up and see better because I'm old. Not that old. Like I'm only 53, which doesn't seem I guess it depends on your perspective. All right. So another thing I thought about last night. So we talked about how like the security guard out there and how he definitely seems like he does not want to be there and he wants to leave. Their vendors, the people that they do business with, right? This Talon Security, I think it's called. At what point do you then not go like, I don't know that we want to get caught up in this whole mess? I mean, you have a job, they have a right to hire security. But I'm sitting over here wondering what's going through their mind, right? Because even if they're being paid to do a job, it doesn't mean that they're happy about it. What are they telling their families and friends? This security guard, people who know him have to be seeing him all over the internet, all over TikTok, all over YouTube. What do his family and friends think about this? If anybody hears, I want to know. I put my email in on my channel bio now. It's natalie@tonkatalk.com. If anybody knows, I want to know. I hope that he leaves and then, well, I don't know though. If he is outside hired security, I'm sure there's some kind of an NDA where you're not allowed to talk about things. And if they don't do that, then that would be hilarious too. But yeah, it'd be great to get security, have that guy on and be able to talk to him. But there's more like that. There's other outside security. There's other vendors working with Scientology. And what's really interesting is how some of them will like help the cause. They'll share information about what's happening, even their observations in Scientology. It's just not Scientology is proving the point themselves. It's one thing to share about, raise awareness about the abuses, the human trafficking within Scientology. It is a whole nother thing to actually confirm these suspicions yourself as Scientology by your actions, by doing the things that they've done in recent days. And I'm completely here for all of it. I can't even imagine what's going to happen next. I have a couple predictions. I think that I can't say enough when you're out there. Thank you, Nancy. I can't say enough about how if you are out there, keep your nose clean, keep the sidewalks open. Help William with that whole crowd control issue. They're doing really good work out there. But just when you think it can't get any worse, Scientology makes it worse. And I think They're at a point now where what are they gonna do? Back down? Well, that's not what L. Ron Hubbard says to do. Tamara, thanks so much. She said she loves your channel. Keep up this informative work. Thank you. Thank you for all being here. Yes, I love that. The fake Space Navy, the Sea Organization. And one thing people are talking about too is the street performer warning him about trespassing. Fine, do that. I'm sure that more is going to come out. I'm sure there's more we're going to find out about what happened last night. We know what we saw. We know what was being reported to the police. People have images of that from inside the police cars, what it said, what the call was about. So I think we're probably going to find out more because there has to be police reports about this. And I'm sure that will be shared. And I will be here to recap it and discuss it with all of you. Again, make sure you put in the comments what you think, even what your theories are about it. What do you think Scientology is going to do next? Based on what you know and what you've seen, if you've been following them for any length of time, following the topic, what do we think is going to happen? How does more law enforcement not get involved, not start looking at this again and going, maybe we should revisit some of the materials that came out of the FBI raid. Maybe we should take a look at a few things. Maybe we should take a little deeper look into many of the reports of abuse that have happened within Scientology. Granny says, I can't wait for the news report they keep talking about to come out. A bunch of the protesters were interviewed. Yes, I think it was for a magazine, but I'm not positive. I can't wait to see that as well and see what it is. Alicia, she says, they are going to try and frame William. Probably. It's not off the table. They've done it before. If you look up Paulette Cooper under Operation Snow White, during the FBI raid, what they found out was the ways that Scientology had planted people in this woman's life. She had written a book about Scientology and the actions they took to gaslight her to the point where they were trying to get her committed, that she would lose her mind and become committed. So there's a long history of that type of behavior. And we'll see, Nancy, if they get charged and what becomes of these false accusations. And that's the beauty of the internet. And that's the beauty of everybody following along here and talking about it and sharing about it, is more people will know about it. And there needs to be accountability on the part of the LAPD and other law enforcement agencies as well. And Popsicle, I'm right. I agree. Messing with William would be the worst public relations mistake. Because again, it's a different time. There was a time where Scientology could be more shady, where they could do more things and kind of get away with it because people weren't watching or it wasn't as seen. Not only now do we have the internet where we can share information very quickly, but we have multiple groups of people out there live streaming the entire thing and talking about it and sharing their experiences, which is going to cause more people to come forward and share their stories and their experiences in Scientology. Go ahead and email me at natalie@tonkatalk.com if you're someone who's under the radar or was in Scientology and want to share your story, because if you don't want to share who you are, we can do it anonymously too. But you have really valuable input that would help people understand the mindset of a Scientologist. Oh, I love that you guys are just watching from all over the place. And Kelly, yes, I think they're going to close the front doors and have already been working on following and trying to find dirt on everyone they can identify. Yep, completely. That's what they'll try to do. And that will completely backfire as well, because what they consider to be dirt, most people consider to be life. Life happens. Sometimes life gets dirty. There's what they're not counting on. They're seeing everything through their own lens of being so incredibly judgmental. And whatever dirt or things they come up with, whether it's real or imagined, they're going to try to paint a picture of these squirrels of being a certain way. It's all BS. It's all completely BS. Thank you, babe. Look at my Tony. Make sure you subscribe and smash the like button for Natalie. Look at you. We have so much fun yelling at the TV each night. Mind your business. It's fantastic. I just love everything you guys have to say about this. So We're gonna have to see what happens today. We're gonna have to see what happens tonight, and we are definitely going to talk about it tomorrow. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like it. Check out the links I put in the description. Check out the videos. If you're not already following Scientology Audit, Streets LA, and Jessica Palmadessa and Confident Chris, by all means, it is well worth it. And it's neat too to see some of these videos from different angles. You see it from one angle, and sometimes you don't always see kind of the big picture. And seeing them from these different live streams, I have found to be very interesting, very interesting. And you kind of see things differently too when you can see the whole picture and really see what's going on. It gives you a whole nother feel and a whole nother vibe. So until we chat again, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Have a fantastic cult free day.